Hello everyone, Dovalt here, and welcome back to the channel with another mini review. This time, another of the 13 primes with Micronus Prime. But wait, this isn't Micronus Prime. Micronus Prime is inside him. Anyway, before we get to that, let's take a quick look at the packaging here for our smallest of primes. Here you see little Micronus there, with his little minicon disc. I actually don't know the lore of Micronus at all. And there he is riding his Apex armor in its vehicle mode. And of course you have the Transformers Age of the Prime, Micronus Prime. Another image of him and the head of his Apex armor. Obligatory product shots of what everything's gonna look like. And of course your standard Prime logo-age or imagery or whatever. Anyway, glad that didn't hit me in the head. So here we have our little guy here in his Apex armor. Now, before we take a closer look at articulation of everything, let's get the actual figure out of there. So you just open up the chest like this, pull him out, and here you go. Here you have Micronus Prime already up in his alt mode, and it's just a minicon disc. I assume in the lore he could like attach to people and power them up, I guess. And here we have the Apex armor. So it has his little energon disc right here in the middle, and it is a very good looking figure, and I love the way they did the leg transformation on this. Now, interesting thing about this, it is a weaponizer, so its transformation technically does require parts forming, but it's because he's meant to come apart to attach to other figures, like his arms can be blasters or extra arms on certain figures that allow it. His torso can be a backpack for some figures, but it has an alternate mode as well by itself, so he can continue to use his vehicle. And then the legs can become like a shield or a backpack for a character as well. So, before we get into articulation for the big guy, let's go ahead and look at little Micronus Prime himself. So, he's just a nicely transclearant, as Emgo would say. Well, a transparent blue with some blue, I forget what this shade of blue is called, like blue gold or something like that. Or silver blue or whatever. And, you know, back's kind of bare bones, but then to transform him, it's literally the easiest thing ever. You just fold out the legs, fold up the shoulders, straighten out the legs, and then turn the head around, and boom, there you go. You got little Micronus Prime in all his tiny glory. My camera probably won't even be able to focus on his face. Focus on the face. There we go. Tiny little head sculpt. Looks just as he did in Transformers Robots in Disguise, the more recent one. The sequel to Transformers Prime. That's exactly what he looked like. I don't know if he was in Cyberverse, but I assume if he was, he looked similar. Now, as for this guy, you know, all the details from his little disc kind of just carry over and blend in. He does have 5mm ports for hands. Now, as for articulation on the little guy, his head can do a full 360. It can look down about that far and up pretty much all the way. Shoulder can go out to 90 and bend to 90. It can rotate all the way around that way, and of course a 360 here. And then the legs, they can go out that far. They can go back that far and bend past 90 if you bring them out the side a little bit. And they have a swivel at the knee, and of course no toe. But there he is. Now let's look at the Apex armor. So, the Apex armor here, it has, its head is on a ball joint, but it's a very tight ball joint, so I don't know if I can turn it with my fingers because of how smooth his head is. But he can look all the way down into his chest, but he can't look up because of the nature of the alt mode. His shoulders can go out that far. His elbow can bend to 90. His shoulder can do a 360, but the backpack does get in the way. And he does have a wrist swivel as well. As for the legs, he can do a beautiful spread, as Jobby would say. Go back this far, he can bend all the way past 90. His knee joints are also articulated. He does have thigh swivel. And he does have a toe tilt, but you kind of gotta pop the toe for transformation. And his knee pads can be adjusted as well. And there you have the Apex armor that he sits inside. Now, his transformation, as we get into it, does in fact require parts forming. He has to completely come apart and then rebuild into his main form. So we'll get right into that. All right. Now, to get the Apex armor into its vehicle mode, first you're going to want to remove the center disc from the chest. It's just on a 5mm port. You might have to push it from the back because this is going to go on our little guy. And you're basically just going to rip him apart. You're going to rip his arms off as he is a weaponizer. And then the legs, they slide off here. Whoop. There you go. Set those aside. And as for the chest, before we get further in the transformation, this is its own little alt mode if you want it to be. So you would fold up the head like so. Fold up the silver panels on the side. And close up the chest like so. And boom, you got a little hover VTOL for our little guy. And he can ride this, and you could use these other tools here as weapons for other figures. For example, I have our buddy Alchemist over here. I feel like these two nerds belong together. And you could give him additional blasters if you wanted to, or even extra arms if you wanted to. Alright, now as for the legs here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn them straight out like so. You're gonna go ahead and pop the toe out, and that should just tab into the bottom. And you can already kind of tell what's gonna happen here. Do the same thing on the other side. It can be a little fiddly to get that out of there. Then what you're gonna do is bring up the knees so that they close up like that. And they kind of double hinge up like so. And make sure you fold this green tab in for, this is for the weaponizer stuff. And close that up, and boom! You have a wheel. Now, before we get to the alt mode, during this transformation, you can flip that green tab out, and we're gonna bring our little buddy Alchemist back over here. And if you wanted to, you could attach this to his arm, like so, and give him a shield. And I'm sure if you wanted to, you could put some blast effects in there and make it like a Gatling shield or whatever, you know? So he can thoroughly weaponize up his brothers. Now, once you have all of these parts together and ready to go, let me take them off of our buddy here. Once you have all of this together, what we're gonna do is you're gonna splay the chest back out like so. And what we're going to do first is you're going to flip this up like so. Close this, and then once it's kind of like this, you're gonna push it down so that it passes the chest bits from earlier. Oh, I got stuck. There we go. So they pass below it like that, and that's all you're gonna do there for now. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna bring in your wheel here, and it's going to tab into the 4 pegs on each of the little propellers here. So first, make sure you got that tab flipped back in. And you're just going to line up one side with the holes. Although trying to do this in front of a camera makes it difficult. There we go. And then do the same thing on the other side. Line them up as best you can. Once one goes in, they all just kind of go in. Once you find the spot, there we go. Then you're going to bring the chest down. And with these silver panels folded up, there's a slot right there that's going to tab onto this notch here. And there you have the base of his alt mode done. Nice little unicycle. Then as for these arms here, these are going to form the exhaust pipes. You can really put them on either side of the figure, but instruction technically recommend you do it with the non-painted side facing up. Do the same thing on the other side. Sorry if my hands are a little all over the place here. And boom, there you have his little vehicle mode. And then you can also fold the exhaust pipes down as kickstands. And there you have his little vehicle mode. And it actually rolls stupid well. Like, this wheel knows how to roll. And as for a little guy, he can ride this little vehicle here. You just put that disc on the back, because I will lose that if I don't. And what you're going to do is you're going to straighten out his arms so that this side is facing forward. Do the same thing on the other side. And these should just slide on to our newly formed handlebars here. And boom. There he is, riding his little motorcycle. It looks so goofy, but it's precious. He is the smallest of the primes. After all, he is very small. So he gives himself some armor and some vehicles. But yeah, this is just a really fun little figure, especially because you can kind of take it apart and weaponize other vehicles. And I'm sure you could take other weaponizers and combine it with this to do some crazy stuff. I'm actually really looking forward to what you can do with this figure when Amalgus comes out in my area. Because Amalgus is one that most people, including myself, are looking forward to most. I'm still having trouble getting a hold of Nexus. Or is Nexus, right? The one that turns into a centaur. That one. But anyway, now I did forget to do some size comparisons for the robot mode, but he is basically right up to the chin of Alchemist Prime here. And as for vehicle mode, he's about mid-chest. And since technically this is his alt mode, his main mode, so let's get him with his siblings here that I have ready. We have Prima Prime and Solus Prime here. And that is how they are looking together. This is how the good guy team is coming together. I did forget to put him in his vehicle mode, so there is Alpha Trion. And same goes for big old vehicle mode Megatronus here. So he is still a very small guy for a deluxe figure, but he's a really good looking little guy. As soon as I move these guys off screen, they all fell over. Anyway, guys, so this has been my little mini review of Micronus Prime, and he's just a little guy. Not too much to say about him. He's super simple, super fun, lots of playability. And I might actually have an alternate alt form you guys can put him in. If you don't want to do parts forming, and I will show you that with my future self now. Now, before we end this episode, I do want to show you guys an alternate transformation into an alt mode that does not require parts forming. Sorry, let me just take the disc off. So if you want to give him an alt mode vehicle that doesn't require any parts forming, all you're going to do is you're going to take the legs, you're going to straighten them out sideways like this for now. You're going to push in the head. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the arms to where they're facing out like this, straighten them out, and all you're going to do is line them up to where this peg on the spinny wheel tabs into the arm. And don't worry, this is flexible, that rubbery flexible plastic, so no damage is being done here. Do the same thing on this side. Then all you're gonna do is take the legs and you're gonna fold them straight in, making sure to keep the knee pads straight, and you're gonna press them in to where they slide in underneath the chest panel like this and just kind of loosely lock into place. Do the same thing on the other side. And that'll kind of loosely lock in. Sorry, just getting everything kind of lined up here, don't mind me. And boom, there you go. There you have a little like flying little hover car or glider for our little guy here. He would just sit on top as normal. Little thrusters at the back. You could probably do some blast effects out of these 5mm ports on the bottom here if you wanted to. And yeah, there is an alternate vehicle mode. And without further ado, we're going to end this review here. This has been my review of Micronus Prime from Transformers Age of the Prime, their mainline set at the moment. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon to know when I upload new stuff. Words work. And also, check out my other reviews for these figures as well as my main gaming channel. It helps out a lot. Now we have another King Toys review next, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope to see you there. This has been Dovalt. I'll see you in the next review. Bye-bye.